Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And obviously, Blizzard dropped a pretty bombshell of a post and update regarding the next patch 11.1.7, which has stirred and drawn a lot of controversy from the community and a lot of debate. But I actually wanted to talk in today's video about how basically it is ingenious on Blizzard's part to do what they're doing and when they are doing it, most importantly. So patch 11.1.7 is considered a mini patch. This is typically something that would not see any sort of major adjustments, not a huge amount of new content. It's just meant to kind of keep the players going until the next major patch, and it usually doesn't stir a lot of discussion, which is obviously not good from a marketing standpoint. So Blizzard incorporating this new additional rotation assist, as well as the one button macro approach, basically to be able to play your class, has gotten basically everyone that had quit World of Warcraft, that is still currently playing World of Warcraft, talking about World of Warcraft, talking about 11.1.7 when otherwise they wouldn't be. This is getting a huge amount of eyeballs on the game for them, and I think everybody is going to want to test this out. I mean, how many players are thinking like, I need to log in and try this? Like, maybe it's going to increase my parse just as a casual player, and I'm going to start doing content that I wouldn't normally be able to do. How many people are going to challenge themselves in content to see like how far can they push some of the limitations of these new features that are coming in for 11.1.7. This is just something that I think a lot of players who are being hypercritical of these features don't realize is actually how ingenious this is from a marketing standpoint. This is taking a patch that otherwise might have been like, yeah, corruptions were cool, we're going to jump back in and do some visions, but generally probably would not have pulled a lot of players back. It's 100% going to pull a lot of players back. So from a marketing standpoint, this is absolutely ingenious on their part. And then also from kind of like a humanitarian side, you know, from an ethical side, it's also a great angle for them, because what it does is it enables players who may have disabilities or difficulties playing the game a method and a mode for them to be able to play in certain content with their friends. The best analogy that I've given for this kind of like one button macro is that if you've ever been skating before, you'll know that they have these metal things basically that you can kind of push around with if you're a beginner skater or you have balancing issues, and maybe you're an elderly person and you want to go skating with your grandkids, but you can't really stand anymore. They give you these supports to go skating with. And that's what this one button macro basically is it's supposed to be a support for players that would otherwise struggle in order to play the game with some of their friends. And I don't think it's Blizzard's intent that this one button macro is going to be used in the NHL, right? We're not going to see Wayne Gretzky's in the future skating around with those metal supports playing hockey against each other. It's just not what's going to happen. And if it does end up happening, they're just going to scale back the punishing aspects of it, right? They're going to increase the GCD so that it doesn't outperform a player playing manual. Now, obviously, the percentage of players that may feel pressured into using this, we don't know that yet, right? Maybe it could be a decently sizable chunk of players. We don't know that yet. I think that's something that's going to be ongoing, and I think that's just another thing that's going to get players interested in trying the patch and coming over to see is like, am I really worse than the one button macro? Like, I think it's going to cause a lot of players to want to kind of test and trial that out. So from that angle, from that side of it, I think it increases accessibility for the game, which is great for Blizzard. It's great for them increasing the available player pool. It's great for you to be able to bring your friend in who maybe never played WoW before, who might have been intimidated by the game and all of its things that you need to learn, basically. And you just be like, yo, try this out. We can just play as the one button mode, see if you like it or not. Like, this is a great just like onboarding experience for somebody to bring somebody into the game that otherwise would have just been like, yeah, no, I don't even want to touch that. So I think it's great from that sense as well. And then the third part of it, which is obviously kind of going to come more from the business element of it, is that it does enable them some big opportunities to go cross-platform. And we have seen from the new president of Blizzard Entertainment that they do want cross-platform functionality. There have been leaks coming out of possible new mobile games coming forward as well for other titles. It's obvious that they don't want to just limit themselves to one specific audience pool. So being able to have a one button mode of the game that is playable for most of the content means that it's likely possible to port World of Warcraft onto a console. I don't know if it's possible also maybe to port it onto a phone if you can just click the screen with the one button rotation and click the screen to move around. It might even be possible to port it onto a phone. So as far as like future potential and reaching into new markets and new audiences from a business standpoint, it's giving them tremendous reach and tremendous potential to expand on that, which is really important, especially when you're competing in an environment and other games that are all doing this. You've got to keep up, otherwise you're going to fall behind, you're going to shrink, and you're going to lose out on the competition if you can't adapt. So it gives them a great element on that sense. So it's one of the best marketing tools I've ever seen for a mini patch that otherwise would have, for most people who had already quit the game, to be like, I'll come back in on the next major patch. It's definitely got their eyeballs on it. From a humanitarian approach, it's increasing accessibility for the game. It's increasing the ability to bring new players into the game that may have otherwise just not wanted to give it a go. And from a business standpoint, it's enabling them to get cross-platform. It's enabling them to get a larger audience. It's enabling them to pollinate into different avenues and possibly, cultivate those audiences back into PC as like major audience groups, especially with their new content cycle and older versions of World of Warcraft copying up Mists of Pandaria Classics coming through, and then who knows, Legion Remix, and who knows what's next after that, some other iteration of Plunderstorm. It's obvious that they are trying to integrate new models and kind of incorporate and adapt to the new meta of gaming, which is kind of hype cycles, right? You've got to have something exciting. You got to have something hype. You got to have something that challenges players constantly because they're getting bombarded. Everyone's brains have been reprogrammed by social media, especially things like TikTok, to just immediate dopamine, need it now, need it fast, need something new, I'm bored already, keep my attention type of deal. And Blizzard and World of Warcraft are adapting to that. And then underpinning all of this is that they get to satisfy the core audience, which is complaining about add-ons. Every single player is like, I think WoW was just more fun when there weren't add-ons, foghorns blaring everywhere, and the add-ons are playing the game for me more than I am playing the game myself. So for them, this is allowing them to take steps now moving into the future to slowly disarm access to these combat add-ons into the future in a way that still enables you to customize your UI, so you can still keep those unique elements that World of Warcraft has had and held special for multiple years up to this point, but get rid of those more so combat elements. And basically people are saying the one button macro, but it's like some people are already doing that with add-ons, and it's actually outperforming players. So Blizzard now can make their own one button macro, scale it so it doesn't outperform the majority of players, and then remove access to these third-party add-on developers to be able to make one that does, so that we can actually just get back to playing the game, that we can be focused on the UI, and that we can accomplish the things that we used to expect to be able to accomplish in World of Warcraft without all of those cumbersome things stacking on top of it, which is why I personally think that this is one of the most ingenious moves on their part. Although at the upfront scale, it comes out as very jarring and controversial, but in a sense that actually ends up being a very big strength for the timing of when they want to release this feature, being a mini patch that otherwise a lot of players may have otherwise just completely ignored. But what are your thoughts on this? Do you guys think this is going to be completely destroying World of Warcraft? Are we just marching down a path that we can't turn back on and it's just over from here? Or is it possible that this is opening up the gates to a potential bright new future that now we are able to adapt and kind of flourish moving forward? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you guys very much for watching the video and the discussion. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.